It's 5:30, so I'm going to call the City Council meeting to order, and I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's City Council meeting. If everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's take roll call.
Councilmember Galloway. Here. Councilmember Hoffman.
Here.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Here.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Here.
Councilmember Basu. Here. Mayor Johnson.
Here. The next item on our agenda is to approve tonight's consent agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Here.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway. Yes. Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Yes.
Councilmember Basu. Yes.
Okay, the next item is to approve tonight's City Council meeting agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway. Yes. Councilmember Hoffman.
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre.
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanis.
Yes.
Councilmember Basu. Yes.
The next item is our city administrator's report to council and citizens. So I'll turn it over to Phil Rath.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. The item I have on the agenda for tonight is check presentation from Bridgeview Center Inc. I don't know, Scott is here, board members are here from Bridgeview Center Inc. HR is here, so I don't know if you wanted to make any comments and anything as part of the presentation. I'll turn it over to you.
We always appreciate getting money.
All right. Well, tonight we will be doing $130,000 or $130,000 contribution to the city for operations in 2024. To date, since 2009, we've given $1.84 million, and we are happy to give this to you guys tonight.
So I got the official check here. I will give this to Mr. O'Donnell, our finance director, as the keeper of the money. And then we do have a check presentation we'd like to do for a quick photo op. If we could maybe have any council members or the mayor and Phil, and we'd love to do that.
Okay.
So there you go, sir.
Come on, council.
That's a lot of
Just get rid of the chair.
I feel like the mayor should be up front.
Yeah.
You might just have to double down.
Get in there.
Yeah, oh, aren't you funny? Yeah.
I feel like it sometimes.
Perfect. Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was all I had for this evening, Mayor.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is we're asked if anyone would like to speak about any of our agenda items for tonight. I don't know if anybody's filled out any white slips or not. No? Okay. We have no public hearings tonight, so we'll move into ordinances.
Ordinance number 3226, 2024, amending the municipal code of the city of Ottumwa, Iowa by amending sections 2-233 and 2-234 for the purpose of revising the city's purchasing policies and procedures. Recommendation passed for first consideration of ordinance number 3226, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor. The city's purchase policy is currently set by ordinance in sections 2-333 and 2-234. I'm sorry, it's 233 and 234. This section sets certain thresholds and limits for specific purchases, and those amounts are as follows. Purchases of $5,000 and under allowed by approval of the purchasing agent, with purchases up to $10,000 allowed by the city administrator with the approval of the finance director. Purchases of $5,000 to $15,000 require 2 quotes, verbal or written, not specified. Council can approve purchases absent of 2 quotes upon recommendation of the finance director. Purchases of $15,000 to $25,000 require 2 sealed bids or negotiation after 2 quotes received. Council can approve purchases absent of 2 quotes or sealed bids upon recommendation of the finance director. Purchases over $25,000 require formal specifications and sealed bids. There are 8 exceptions to this requirement relating to goods and services. The limits, exceptions, and procedures set forth do not reflect current statutory thresholds and cause unnecessary expenses related to specification creations and bidding process. Additionally, the processes set forth in the code are inadequate to ensure procurements are being received and reviewed properly. The proposed ordinance eliminates the specific language of the section and replaces it with the requirement that the finance director annually prepare and present to City Council a purchase policy at the council's first meeting of July. Staff has attached a proposed policy for your review, and I did place an updated copy in front of you. What's updated is the purchase order policy. We received or met with Civic for our finance software on Monday. They kind of went through what is entailed with the purchase order process within the software. So I have tried to tailor the purchase order policy to that. What we don't know is if it will exactly match what's in the policy right now, because we won't get into the system until October. And an update on that, they set the training schedule and everything. They believe that for accounts payable, accounts receivable, invoicing, that we should be able to go live with that for the second meeting in October for the City Council. We believe that by the end of November, 1st of December, that we should have the full system online and ready to go. So the speed of that is based upon the fact that we don't have a payroll system or utility billing system that they have to set up as well. They just have to set up the general ledger part of it. The proposed policy is more comprehensive in purchasing procedures and more reflective of the current thresholds and limits set by state code. So significant points in the policy. Department heads are given discretion for purchases up to $1,000 and are clearly made responsible for the adherence to the policies. Procedures for policies, quotes, and bids are clearly defined with higher thresholds than the current ordinance. This should streamline the procurement bidding process while reducing staff time and costs associated with the bidding process. Formalizes the local preference thresholds, complies with federal requirements necessary for the application and receipt of grants. So when you go through the policy, wherever you see CFR and then some numbers, that's the consolidated federal requirements. What we have in there now complies with that. What I've seen cities do in the past, if they don't have a proper purchase policy, they then have to adopt one really quickly. We will not have to do that because this one now conforms with that. Incorporate subsection 2-233 surplus materials and equipment, supply schedules, and regulatory, temporary, or seasonal employment into the policies. Sets the following thresholds. For informal quotations, purchases between $1,000 and $10,000 require at least 3 verbal quotes. Purchases between $10,000 to $65,000 require 3 written quotes. The competitive bidding process informal, purchases between $65,000 and $196,000 require competitive bids based upon written specifications. And formal bidding process, purchases above $196,000 use the formal bidding process as outlined in Chapter 26 of the Code of Iowa. There are exceptions within the policy for one-source procurement and inability to obtain the required number of quotes. So tonight we're just asking for modification of the ordinance, not approval of the policy, even though you have copies in front of you. I wanted to get that out so that you had time to review that and ask questions. Staff has had this for as long as you have had, and they have been emailing me with questions and comments. We just sent out the revised version this afternoon, so they'll have a chance to look at that purchase order section, be able to ask questions, and then once the ordinance has been passed, we'll present a resolution adopting the policy.
I only had one question. How do you hold somebody accountable for just a verbal quote if it's not in writing?
There is actually a form at the back of the policy where they write down the verbal quote.
Okay. So it's still in writing?
Yeah, so it's,
Okay.
if they call them up, they say, hey, what price are you gonna give me, right? And then they record it that way.
Okay. Does council have any questions for Cole?
Just a preliminary, if you don't mind, people who are authorized to purchase fuel as an example, who authorizes them and how do they prove they have that authorization? Where do they buy the fuel from?
If it happens to be that they're using a city credit card, they've been issued a credit card, or they have been issued a merchant card, charge card that is specific to that merchant or the gas station. But it would be the department head's responsibility to make sure that they are being responsible in those purchases and that things are being recorded and not being abused.
And they turn in a receipt when they make a purchase?
Correct.
Okay.
If they're making a charge, whether it's on a store card or on the P card, if they don't have a receipt, we don't pay it.
You're a hard man to know, but that's good.
Well, I don't mess around when it comes to city's money.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Any other questions for Cole? Okay, if not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
We have no departmental board or commission recommendations tonight, so we'll move to resolutions.
Resolution number 119, 2024, approving an amended and restated management agreement with Venue Works of Ottumwa LLC for the management of the Bridgeview Center and authorizing the mayor to sign. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 119, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
I feel like we're gonna take this.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, we've got Scott Holgren here and HR, if there's any specific questions from the VenWorks side. But in general, there is an agreement that was attached with this resolution and submitted to the city council ahead of time. This attached agreement provides for the continued operation and management of the Bridgeview Center by Venue Works of Ottumwa LLC. The original agreement began on November 1st of 2011, was extended on July 1st, 2016, and again June 1st, 2021. The current extension expires June 30th of this year. There was an option to extend an additional 3 years. Venue Works of Ottumwa approached the city about amending that current agreement to include, rather than the 3-year extension, a 5-year agreement with 2 optional 5-year extensions beyond that. Those would have to be mutually agreed upon by both sides to continue with either of those extensions. The agreement amends and restates the management agreement. So in other words, all of those changes that have occurred over time, it is saying we're taking all those into account and we're going to restate that and create a new agreement. So this will be a clean first agreement, which is what we'd be looking at. So it amends, restates that. It provides for cost of living adjustments to the management and operational support fees. It substitutes the penalty clause with incentive-based commissions. And in addition, Venue Works of Ottumwa is offering a $70,000 capital contribution to go towards a capital purchase for the facility. And there was a couple of ideas that were suggested with that, and I'll let them talk about that. Things that they saw might be a need from an operational standpoint that would benefit both the city and the operations of the building. So I know as we were going, working with Scott and his team, negotiating back and forth, verifying, our attorneys have also looked at this and wanted to verify that it is what's known as a qualified management agreement. Essentially what that means is if we go out to borrow money for anything, and we have an agreement like this, that we're verifying that the the proceeds that we acquire are tax exempt, or at least up to the first 10 million, and beyond that, that's a different category. So if we borrow $10 million in a given year, those would be tax exempt, meaning they're more favorable for people looking to purchase those bonds, giving us better rates, and hopefully more people in the market looking to buy those. If we wanted to operate other than a qualified management agreement, we would forfeit that tax exempt status for any dollars that we would look to bond for. Any questions?
I do. Okay, so I want to start actually with, in here it says VenueWorks is offering a 70,000 capital contribution. If you go to page 11 of the agreement, it identifies page 11, 3.8. It says capital investment. It actually identifies this as a grant in this, that VenueWorks is providing a $70,000 grant to the city. And then it also says in the event this agreement should be terminated prior to June 30th, 2029, the city shall promptly repay VenueWorks. A couple questions. So my first question would be, why would we pay VenueWorks back if they were to terminate the agreement?
If they were to terminate,
If they were to terminate, this language would say we would still have to pay back any unused.
So whatever we purchase with that, it becomes property of the city. And so I think that would be part of that is if we were to not fulfill the 5 years, and this is stating, I guess, on either side. And that was just how it was drawn up, negotiated based off of that. I don't know if there's any thoughts. I understand.
I guess I understand if we terminate it, but I'm
Right.
asking if it were to be terminated by VenueWorks.
Yes, thank you. Thanks. HR Cook with VenueWorks out of Ames. I currently reside in Ottumwa. Thank you, Honorable Mayor Johnson, council, staff for allowing us to come here tonight. To answer your question, one, it is considered a grant due to the fact that if it is terminated, then we also amortize that over the course of the 5-year term. If VenueWorks terminates the contract, we would not be looking to reclaim or recoup any funds. So, and that mainly the funds, what we talked about was from a security standpoint. We've done a security audit of the facility and we've had some concerns both from administration and from the public regarding concerts, public events, that there seems to be a mishmash of security measures coming in. So we were looking for a way to increase our security. So we've suggested that it doesn't have to be approved for walk-through metal detectors and other security measures as you come in. So unfortunately in today's world, that's kind of what we're up against. And there's some promoters that we're looking at to bring into Ottumwa that absolutely require screening of coming in. I'm not saying we ban things. There's just certain things you're screened for as you come through the doors. Other items are revenue generating signage that is needed in the building. We think we can generate some revenue there. Also some directional signage and some concession signage, whatever's left.
Great, thank you. Okay, so then if we go to page, let's go to page 5. In Article 2, it talks about that this agreement would expire on June 30th, 2029, and it's asking for, or it states with 2 additional 5-year extension terms subject to the mutual agreement of the parties. So if those, with this 5-year extension, and then if we did those 2, that would be 23 years, VenueWorks would be providing those services. And I'm not saying that VenueWorks has done a bad job or anything like that, but I just want to point out that when the golf course came forward, it was a big fact that we should open up for RFP, because even though we have a great company running it, we need to open it up to see, you know, maybe there's something else out there too. And maybe the current company is just as great. So, but they could apply for the RFP. So I do express some concerns with that too, with that additional 2 5-year extension terms. I just think it doesn't allow the city to, you know, seek out other opportunities or to understand what's out there. And again, not that Venue Works has done a bad job, but I just think we need to make sure we're doing our due diligence as a city, and a city council.
Just real quick on that
Yeah.
one. I think one minor difference with that was there was an opportunity to do an extension of 5 years, but it would have been with a different manager.
Yeah, and
And so I think that would be, and the city opted not to just automatically renew that with a different manager. So I guess I would say, like, at the end of 5 years, if Scott were to leave and there's gonna be a brand new manager, that the city may want to consider going up for an RFP at that point without knowing what that was, and they would still have Venue Works would still have an opportunity to submit, as did Adam with the new ownership there. So I think that would maybe be a little bit more of a clear differentiation.
yes.
I mean, a similarity.
Yes, however, I do remember council people identifying again that even if Greg were to stay in that position, they still would want to see what else was out there too. So, just from my recollection. The other thing I am glad to see is this city satisfaction, the city satisfaction committee for the incentive fee calculation.
What page are you on, please?
Oh, sorry, 15, I apologize. And it's that second paragraph. So I am glad to see that, that weighted scale. So I would like to see, and maybe you do this, Scott, already, do you do a satisfaction after events from the people who hold the event, or like that have the contract with you?
We were, and then we were doing that up until COVID, and then when COVID hit and we pretty much gutted our staff, that's
Yeah.
one thing that went away. And we are currently actually reviewing internal procedures about how best to get that going again, looking at apps. Can we afford that from a budgetary standpoint? Other means, QR codes, other ways of doing it digitally. The paper surveys just in today's world now are not working.
Yep.
Everyone wants it easy, and we're trying to figure out what's the best way we can do that with a software that we can afford based on our operating budget.
Yeah, that's great. I think that would be great to provide real feedback on these areas instead of just, I think that would help the committee that does this instead of just kind of using their own opinion. Then you have that real feedback from the events that have happened, you know, and I just think that gives us, instead of like the board, I pointed to your board kind of coming in and saying, oh, I haven't been to an event in a while, but this is what I rate you. You know, you have that live feedback. So I would like to see that. And I also like to see that the name, and I don't know what page this is, but that naming rights are back in this contract. And I hope that Venue Works does look to seek out naming rights sales for the facility and the different spaces. I think those are my biggest things right now.
Okay, your last statement, I'm a little confused, but
So,
naming rights for
yeah.
what?
The building, so page 6, 3.2.
Also things within the building.
Within, like, this
Right.
room could have a naming right, the
Sure.
auditoriums could have naming rights, so like different business, kind of like the US Cellulose, is it still the US Cellulose Center?
Alliant Energy Powerhouse Arena,
That one.
Yes.
Thank
or
you.
the Wells Fargo Arena, or Hy-Vee Hall,
Yeah.
or Extreme Arena, or you name it, across the state of Iowa.
Yeah, so I would love to see they get that, you know, funding, and I think that would help with the bottom line too. So,
I don't disagree with that, but I would comment that I would be concerned about allowing something or someone to name the physical building itself. I have no problem with people wanting to name rooms, and hallways, whatever, but,
City would have
Yeah,
final
have
approval
final
on that.
approval.
So, yes,
okay.
Yep.
nothing would be done without the approval of council.
Thank you.
And if I may, I would like to just address one of your points, Karen, and it's a very valid point. It's one that I get asked in both sides. For me personally, I was one that advocated for the 5-year renewal plus 2 5-year extensions. And the biggest reason why is the labor environment that we are in today. Just as one example, last week we had a candidate that we're looking to bring on board, and one of their questions was, where are you at in your contract process with the city? How many years are left in your contract? what is that like? Because if someone's gonna make a commitment to move to our community, to come to work for VenueWorks, they are looking for longevity. Another example that I've seen, and I believe this speaks to our organization, VenueWorks. Sadly, when we are not chosen and we lose a community, we're seeing those employees actually want to stay on board with our company, and they are asking to be relocated. And part of that now is because VenueWorks, we're an employee-owned company. I stand here today before you as an owner of VenueWorks. I'm 100% vested because of the tenure I have, so I have some skin in the game. So I'm incentivized to work on behalf of Ottumwa, to keep the account and having that longevity in there. It's not just me incentivized. It's fun for me and rewarding when you can hear a few conversations between employees and to get some of their knowing that they're a little bit more vested because we are owners of VenueWorks and we're here. We want to serve you to the best of our ability so we can maintain that ownership long term. But really, it boils down to a labor situation, and that in today's world, that is it's very, very competitive. I'm sure you all have stories and have heard those stories.
Now, when Kara mentioned the term, I heard her say 23 years. I'm confused about that because I thought we were asking for a continuation of 3
That would be,
5.
yeah, that would be if everything were to extend out. Our company took over in 2011. That was when we were first awarded the contract. So I think looking at the past from 2011, yes, it'd be looking at 23 years.
So they're asking for a 5-year extension and then 2 additional options for 5-year.
That's what I read, thank you.
Yes.
And I think it's important at this point for us to consider your needs, and we also have to consider our needs.
Mhm.
So that's up for debate as far as I'm concerned, further consideration at least. I think you've done a great job. I hope we never lose you in this organization, because you've been outstanding. But we have to protect our backsides a little also.
Yep. No, I certainly understand. And just as a point of information, currently right now, our VenueWorks, we have management agreements that we've been in place with Davenport and Cedar Rapids, 2 of our original communities. Our company was founded in 1996. Davenport, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong here, Davenport, I believe, was our 2nd account. And then Cedar Rapids was our 3rd account, shortly behind Davenport. We've been serving those communities through contract extensions and renewals and things like that since 1998, basically. They've been pleased with our services. They have felt in their communities, for many various reasons, that they did not need to go out to RP and just renegotiated terms in the contract that were mutually beneficial to both the owner, being the city of Davenport, the city of Cedar Rapids, and VenueWorks.
Thank you.
I think it's also really quickly to the point about with a 5-year and 2 additional 5-year options, we're only looking at this 5 years at a time. I think Scott shared there was a company that had a 10-year agreement. This isn't a 15-year agreement. It's 3 5-year agreements, or potentially up to 3 5 years. So there's an option.
But those 5 years are an option, not a actual contract agreement saying you get 15 years.
Oh, no.
In service.
No.
Okay.
If you like us, you bring us back for another 5.
Sure.
But if you look, there's also some various out clauses for the city. If you don't like the way I dress, or don't like the way we dress and take care of the facilities, there are, and then the scorecard that we're gonna have, and the customer service ratings. If we fall below your standards, we don't wanna be your company either, because if you don't want us, we don't wanna be in your community. But we're gonna try our hardest, and this contract is written in a way where we actually have skin in the game now, where we don't get paid the extra concession fees unless we perform. And that is your scorecard that you'll agree to.
Very good, thank you.
I'd like to just add a 10-second thing here, Mayor, if I could.
That's fine.
When I ran, I wanted the bridge review, kind of one of my things, and I started meeting with Scott weekly. And I just want to add in real quick here. I've rarely seen passion in an individual like Scott. He eats, sleeps, and breathes the Bridgeview Center. He's brought us some great shows. He's brought us some great events, and I appreciate his passion and what he brings. So Scott, I say as long as you're here, man. I mean, I really appreciate what you do. He's knowledgeable. He's on top of it. The conversations we have are great, and what really sells me about him is he's an Ottumwa. He loves Ottumwa, and he wants to do what he does for Ottumwa. So I just wanted to add that in there. So publicly, Scott, I want to tell you I appreciate what you do. You do great. So thank you.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
He won't be leaving now.
Does council have any other questions or comments?
I just have one more comment. So I understand that they're 5-year options, but I will say from my time in council, the options haven't really felt like options. They've been brought forward as more of, hey, pass, and not to anyone's fault. I mean, we had a pretty new council when the first one came to us, or the first option. And I haven't felt like situations like this have been options. It feels like, again, this is me, and no one has pushed it on me, but this is just my perception, is that it hasn't felt like an option that we could do something different. I'll just do that. So I think that the contract is good. I think that there's a lot of good things in it, like the council or the administrator, having that approval of the budget. I think that there's like the city administrator and Scott meeting and talking about shows or the upcoming schedules more regularly. I think that there's a lot of great things in it. My concern is the 2 5-year options.
Any other comments or questions from council? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
With the 2 5-year options, I didn't know.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Masu?
Yes.
Okay, it passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 129, 2024, approval of collective bargaining agreement by and between the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and the Teamsters Local 238 representing Public Works, Parks, Airport, and Cemetery employees, commencing July 1, 2024, and continuing through June 30th, 2026, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 129, 2024.
Is there a motion to approve the recommendation?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, Barb.
Thank you, sir. So before you is the finalized contract, and this one is for the Public Works, Parks, Airport, and Cemetery employees. You had previously passed the tentative agreement, and then this is the actual contract itself, signed by the union as well.
Council have any questions for Barb? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Masu?
Yes.
Resolution number 130, 2024, approval of collective bargaining agreement by and between the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and the Teamsters Local 238 representing municipal employees, commencing July 1, 2024, and continuing through June 30th, 2026, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 130, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Barb.
Same thing, but for our municipal employees.
Any questions, comments from council? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Masu?
Yes.
Resolution number 131, 2024, approval of collective bargaining agreement by and between the city of Ottumwa, Iowa, and the Ottumwa Association of Professional Firefighters Local 395, representing city fire department employees, commencing July 1, 2024, and continuing through June 30th, 2028, and authorizing the mayor to sign the agreement. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 131, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Barb.
This one's for the fire employees.
Any
There's not much
questions for
more I can
Barb?
say.
If not, Chris, take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 132, 2024, adopting the financial policies for the city of Ottumwa. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 132, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Sorry, Bill.
Okay, Mr. O'Donnell?
During the budget process, members of the council had questions regarding certain financial policies. As staff searched files, it was discovered that several key policies were either scattered among several documents or not formalized within a document. The proposed document sets forth the policies the council had questions about, as well as other necessary for sound fiscal management of public funds. Additionally, the policies include those necessary under federal regulations for the receipt and management of grant funds. This is a little different than the purchase policy. This actually formalizes parts of the purchase policy differently, but it's more encompassing. It should be noted that the proposal has the purchase order policy strikeout because we were doing that separately. The city does not currently have procedures for purchase orders, but the new financial software will have a component for the creation and tracking of POs. Staff is waiting for the system to be installed as to tailor the purchase order policy to fit the software. And again, that is in the new draft of the purchase policy. Some policy highlights. Revenue policies are intended to provide guidelines for determining the revenues and revenue sources necessary to provide basic municipal services to the community. Urban renewal, the city will use urban renewal and TIP in a responsible and prudent manner. Municipal enterprise, fees shall be set at a level related to the cost of providing services and shall be reviewed annually. Reserves, maintaining adequate reserves to provide the city with flexibility and security. And under that, the general fund reserve shall be 15 to 20% of expenditures, and the budget shall not be submitted with reserve projections to be greater than, and actually, I think we changed that to 25% of expenditures. Reserve equipment fund, the city may establish such funds for the scheduled purchase of vehicles and equipment. Capital project funds, council may designate specific funds balance levels for future capital projects as long as the individual balances do not exceed $500,000. Currently, what we do is we transfer annually from the sewer fund to the sewer capital, $500,000 for projects. So that's what that is actually referring to. So if we're going to transfer money over, the most we can transfer is $500,000, and we need to spend that annually without having a buildup of a balance over $500,000 from that source. Because if you do look in sewer capital, there's money coming in from local option sales tax, and so that balance is over $500,000. But the project each year taking into account that $500,000. Operating expenditures, establish expenditures annually and reviewed monthly within the approval in accordance with council directives. Capital improvement planning, a 5-year CIP shall be established and maintained within the conditions set forth in the policy. We do have the software access to it. I've been setting it up in the last week. Department heads are getting to me who needs access and at what level of access, so that we can then get them out. Once that happens, we'll have training. Staff will present an update in late July on the CIP, so that you get to understand the process. And then part of that, there are some policies that are adopted as part of the CIP that you need to be aware of, especially relating to streets, sewers, and the use of local option sales tax. Debt management, debt shall be managed to maintain consistency of the levy for capital improvement projects and purchases. Bond indebtedness shall not exceed 75% of the statutory bonding capacity. Financial reporting and accounting, city shall maintain accounting practices through the use of governmental accounting, auditing, and financial reporting as its source of generally accepted accounting principles. Local purchase preference given it within 5% or $5,000, whichever is less, depending upon the expenditure. When it comes to certain projects that are formally bid under Chapter 26, local preference cannot be given. That this only applies to certain things. For example, if we're buying a vehicle, we can look at the DOT bid, which satisfies our policy under the purchase policy. We can take that to local dealers, and if they can come within 5% or $5,000, we can then purchase locally. Annual audit services proposals once every 5 years, with audits conducted with generally accepted accounting procedures. Investment policy set forth the procedures for investment, the instruments allowed, practices for investing, and diversification of investments necessary to maximize returns while maintaining security of funds. The credit card policy sets limits, allowed purchases and use of credit cards. Petty cash sets cash limits, use of and reconciliation requirements. Public purpose defines allowable and non-allowable expenditures. Segregation of duties requires that duties within the finance system be segregated as much as possible, and the use of checks and balances. And federal awards is the last section, provides the policies necessary for the acquisition, management, and reporting of federal awards.
When you get the new financial software totally implemented, does it have built-in alerts so that when you get to a threshold, whether it's a dollar amount or a percentage amount, it would alert you that you're getting close to that threshold?
As far as the, as far as what's budgeted for that?
Correct.
Yes, it does. What it is as we're entering invoices, and the department heads will be able to enter their own invoices and code them through the whole system, it will tell you, it alerts you and say, hey, you add your budget limit. And also with the purchase orders system part of it. If they put in a purchase order and they put in the line item, it'll pop up and say, hey, you're approaching your limit or you're over the budget.
I think that would be great as far as tracking and monitoring, because the current system doesn't have any of that built into it.
Right. And additionally, as part of the financial system, we are going to rework some of the chart of accounts because right now we have certain accounts that are just catch-alls for things, and the expenses in there need to be split out and need to be more specified so that we can track them more accurately.
Does council have any questions for Cole?
I just have a quick question. Does this satisfy, wasn't it in our audit that we needed to establish financial policies or have better financial policies?
Yes.
So this
This was, yes.
Okay.
One of the things is we're supposed to, the segregation of duties, unless you are someplace like Des Moines that is going to employ 20, 30 people to do different things, you're always going to get dinged on the segregation of duties. What this just says is, hey, we will try to segregate the duties as much as possible so that there's a little bit of checks and balances.
Perfect, thank you.
I'd like to go back to the fuel thing again. That's
Sure.
something I'm interested in. I'm not accusing anybody of anything,
Right.
being dishonest. But if someone fills or fuels a vehicle, would they be required to note the date, the mileage, and the amount of fuel that they put in that vehicle?
The receipt will have the date and the amount of fuel. What is not required right now, I believe, is the mileage. But what I will tell you is that under the purchase policy, we had the proposed in the new draft is the procurement voucher. As part of the procurement voucher, they do have to fill out a little more information, such as the employee making the purchase, the date of the purchase, the line item that it needs to be coded to, and a description, and then approved by the department head or the designee for the department head.
Again, I don't think it's that much more effort for somebody to write down mileage of the vehicle when they're fueling it. That way, it's a secondary check to know that the vehicle is being fueled with city money, and it's going into the right vehicle.
Sure.
So that'd be my recommendation.
And we could require that as part of the description on the procurement voucher, that they would then put the vehicle and the mileage.
Thank you, you've satisfied me, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Cole?
appreciate your work.
Thank you. No, what I will tell you is that 95% of my job is plagiarism, so it was very easy to come up with something, so. It's from somebody else, but we tailored it to our specifications.
You cite the source.
Yeah.
Any other final questions, comments for Cole? Okay, if not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Resolution number 133, 2024, awarding the biosolids hauling contract for water pollution control facility and authorizing the mayor to sign. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 133, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Mr. Lloyd?
Mayor and Council, we have a 3-year agreement. We did go out for RFPs. We had 3 that we had contacted. One chose not to put in bids. The other 2 did. They were both responsible. As you can see, there's a significant difference. And the one that we would recommend would be Ecosystems. They are out of Ottumwa as well, so.
Council have any questions for John?
What was the, like, why was there such a significant difference, do you know?
LCL is actually out of Keokuk. And they do a lot of hauling for other places and a lot of other cities, Iowa City being one of them. They're very regionalized. Hauling is very regionalized to a certain degree, and we're just lucky that we have Ecosystems in our area.
Great, thank you.
Council have any other questions for John?
Nope.
Not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Resolution number 134, 2024, approving the purchase of a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 four-wheel drive pickup for the engineering department. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 134, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Mr. Bergmeyer?
Thank you, Mayor. So normally this is under consent agenda, but this purchase is a little bit different, which I'm going to explain to you now why it's a separate resolution. So this vehicle is to replace car number 144, which is a Chevy Malibu originally assigned to be for the engineering department. 2 years ago, Fleet Committee recommended replacement, and 144 was transferred to the airport. The new vehicle was budgeted for FY23. I think with the change in department heads and the change in finance directors, it kind of fell through the cracks. No one purchased it. We did have money left over in the fleet budget this year, and the finance director approved transferring some of that money to engineering to purchase this vehicle. We sent out quotes. We received bids from Pat McGrath, Carl Auto, Greg Young, Ford, and Strivers. Based on the availability and options, we recommended purchasing the crew cab from McGrath for a total of $45,770.43. We wanted the crew cab because we'd like to have at least one vehicle where you can fit an adult human in the back seat comfortably. None of our cars are that big anymore. And then we wanted a four-wheel drive because I know last year when we had the snowstorms, we had no four-wheel drive vehicles in the fleet, so we had to borrow one from Public Works to be able to do locates when it's snowy out and stuff. So that's the reason for the crew cab four-wheel drive.
Does council have any questions for Philip?
Was there any consideration for local purchase?
Yeah, they did not have a crew cab available. They only had extended cabs.
Thank you.
And they're hard for people to fit in the back seat for very long.
So while this wasn't a budgeted item for this year, it was budgeted for, or 23. So we do have the funding, so we're not taking from your current budget.
No, there was several hundred thousand, or a couple $100,000 left in the fleet budget for this year. And then we use that leftover money, so there's no, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's no additional money going in.
Great, thank you.
It does not exceed a budgeted line item.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Only that I would like to agree with you, a two-wheel drive vehicle is worthless, and a four-wheel drive is a must. Gotta have four-wheel drive,
At least one, yeah, I agree with that.
right?
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Resolution number 135, 2024, approving the Elm Street Lift Station Pump Replacement Phase 1 project for water pollution control facility. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 135, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
All right, Mr. Lloyd.
This is for a lift station pump. It would be for our Elm Street lift station. The reason it's so expensive, it's brand new. The manufacturer changed the design, and the ones that we have in place are going to be obsolete. So this is actually in the capital budget for next year. It's a 16-week lead time. I've got about 20-25 tons of sand that have gone through the plant this year, which is not good. That's why I want to have this one ready to go. I want to have it in as soon as we get it. And we're going to be trying to plan for a new pump for next year and the next 3 years. Those aren't options. But I digress.
Are parts still available for what you have, not the new pump, but what you
I have actually had, I have ordered some parts and keep them in stock in case we have something. We have one pump that is ready to go. I honestly think we're probably gonna go through 2 pumps before the end of the calendar year, just because we've gone through that much grit. So we have one that we can put in, we'll have one that's on order, maybe we can get the other one parts. If not, if we have the parts, we can use those. Other than that, it's just gonna be scavenging. What we'll try to do is try to scavenge parts from other pumps until we get those 3 in, as best we can.
What's the general life expectancy of one of these pumps when they're brand new?
I couldn't tell you, but I know we have not ordered new pumps. They've always been repaired. Usually the repair bill is right around 40 to 50,000. So they changed the design of it, and they're not going to be making parts for me anymore. So regardless, we're going to have to change out parts. Yep.
You said 40 to 50,000 to repair?
To repair.
How often are you repairing every year?
Probably one.
Okay.
And the design you say has changed, is that going to make a major difference in the installation? Is there going to be?
No, we already checked that. We checked into that, the volutes and those, the flanges are supposed to meet up. We've been told that before. But we asked them to go through and double check their designs to make sure that when they go in, they're just kind of a plug and play. Not that that's the easiest thing to install and set up, but we're hoping that there isn't any other installation. We will have, in 2 weeks, some valving that we're gonna be requesting. That's gonna be in the neighborhood of 20,000, 25,000. So be aware of that. And another one for another, probably close to 20. So we're not cheap.
You mean you're not inexpensive? Yeah, okay.
Any other questions from council? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Thank you. And as always, if you want to come out and see what we do and how we do it, give us a call.
Bring her dirty clothes and her gloves, right?
When we're changing about
Resolution number 136, 2024, fixing date for a public hearing on the proposal to lease certain real property at the Ottumwa, Wapello County landfill, locally known as 13277 165th Avenue, to Vespine Energy Incorporated and providing for publication of notice thereof. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 136, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Simonson.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Everyone on the council has seen some aspect of this project from the Solid Waste Commission already. And at the previous meeting of the Solid Waste Commission last month, the commission did recommend the council approve this agreement with Vespine Energy. The city's attorney, looking at the 2080 agreement for the Solid Waste Commission for the landfill, thinks that the commission is a good way of setting policies and doing some, approving purchases and things for the landfill. But because of how the agreement's laid out, she thinks the best approach for something that's like a land lease or something that's going to be a multi-year agreement with the vendor, she doesn't think the commission is very well established in the 2080 agreement, so she thought that the city council and the county supervisors should separately approve this land lease and this agreement. And do it that way. So that's why it's on the agenda here. This resolution sets the next council meeting as a public hearing to review the land lease and the agreement with Vespine Energy. In brief, the agreement would be for Vespine to have a portion of the property at the landfill where they will set up the equipment that they will use for a self-supporting microgrid project, where they will use the landfill gas that is already being generated by our site to power energy production. And initially that'll power a data center that's maintained on site, but their idea is to sell that energy back to the grid. Eventually, a key part of that is what you saw in a previous council meeting, a letter of support for the EPA finalizing the rules for the ERIN program. The ERIN program is what will make it profitable for them to sell that power to the grid. So they'll pay us a royalty on that energy production. That royalty will get larger when those ERIN rules are finalized, but we do expect an estimated $136,000 a year in royalty in year one, and over the 10-year agreement, that'd be up to $1.6 million in royalty that would go to the landfill, and the Solid Waste Commission would have that in order to supplement activities that go on there, to try to keep the fee low, to keep a positive outlook for our closure, post-closure obligations, those sorts of things.
And the length of that lease is 10 years maximum?
10 years with an option to renew for a further 10 years.
Okay.
Any other questions from council? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Mizzou?
Yes.
Resolution number 137, 2024, approving the agreement between the City of Ottumwa and JCG Land Services for easement and right-of-way acquisitions for the Mary Street Reconstruction Project. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 137, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Philip.
Thank you, Mayor. So the Mary Street Reconstruction Project is currently under design. The engineers have the final design actually complete, but before the plans can be submitted to the DOT, all the easements and right-of-way acquisition must be completed. There are 23, let's just say parcels, not properties, 23 parcels requiring easements and 4 parcels requiring right-of-way acquisition. So is there a total of 27 parcels that we have to acquire in some way or another, and there's 24 property owners to negotiate with. JCG Land Services specializes in negotiating and completing right-of-way acquisitions and easements. Their services will include title searches, title reports, compensation estimates, transfer document preparation, and overall management of the acquisition needs for these 27 parcels. JCG estimated nearly 800 hours to acquire these easements, including 540 hours for the acquisition process itself. Now that 540 hours, that's the only thing we could do in-house. And most of the time we do this in-house. I had one of our employees look up how long they spent getting easements for the roundabout. So we had 4 property owners there and 5 parcels of land, and they spent 104 hours on direct negotiations with those property owners. That was 26 hours per property owner and 21 hours per parcel, which is pretty comparable to what JCG estimated in their proposal. Again, Mary Street has 27 properties and 24 owners, so that's 540 hours is probably pretty close. In order to meet the DOT timelines, the right-of-way acquisition process has to be completed before we can turn in the final plans. We would like to have that complete by August 20th in order to let the project November 19th. It's important to hit this like late fall, early winter letting date to get the best prices for the project. We don't have 540 hours to commit to this over the next 2.5 months. Our primary employee that does this, he'll be on Medical Leave Act for almost a month, from July 18th to August 16th. So we'll lose 160 possible hours right there for those 4 weeks. And our other guys are all inspecting projects right now, and it's really hard when you start negotiating with one person to transfer all that information back, keep negotiating with someone else, and then transfer all that information back to them. Not only is he's actually in the middle of negotiating easements for Division 2 still. We have 6 easements he's trying to get, or six parcels and 6 property owners he's trying to negotiate with Division 2. And then once he finishes those, we got word that hopefully Division 3 will be cleared in July to let, and then he'll have another 10 easements or something to do for that. So we have plenty of easement work to get done. We just don't have the time to get these 27 done.
So when would the actual project start construction? Not till spring of 2025?
We would phase it to not start till school got out and make them get done in front of the school, because that's the only way to do it. So it would start once school was out next spring. Yep.
Okay. Does council have any questions? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basu?
Yes.
Resolution 138, 2024, approving updates to the Iowa Transportation Alternatives Program TAP grant for the Oxbow Lagoon Lake Trail. Recommendation pass and adopt resolution number 138, 2024.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Okay, Phil.
Thank you, Mayor. So this TAP application was originally approved for submittal at the March 15, 2022 council meeting. The resolution approving it incorrectly stated that the grant could be up to 100% of the project funding. It actually can only fund 8% of it. There's a 20% match. Kim's here too, but the match will be provided to Wapello County Trails. It won't be from the city. So the TAP money is not 100% funded by the city, but it's not 100% funded by TAP. It's 100% funded outside city funds. And additionally, this TAP funding requires an official endorsement in the form of a resolution, which this is, stating that the city of Ottumwa promises to maintain this improvement for 20 years. And it's typical for funding from the state that you maintain the improvement for 20 years. And then below, I have a list of what the construction estimate is, and then where all the funding is coming from. We're hoping to get the first phase of this done this year, around the roundabouts to meet up with Richmond Avenue there, and then the bigger section behind Richmond will be next year.
Can you describe the bigger section behind Richmond?
So there's a trail running behind the parking lot by Taco John's in that area.
Yes.
Southside Drug. That's going to be extended mostly along the lagoon, depending on easement acquisitions and stuff like that. And it'll be connect up with the trail that we're putting in by the roundabout, so it'll connect into the trail that was built at Milner. And then it'll circle back around into the park.
And so that's not going to be done until potentially next year?
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep.
In your funding, one of the lines, the city of Ottumwa cash 20,000. What is that?
That is not in the budget for this year. That'll be for the next year's project. So it'll be in next year's budget. And it's just, when we did the estimate for this in 2022, so 2 years ago, that was what was left over from all the funding sources that didn't get funded. So that was added back in. And so it might, when we get closer to the project, we'll have a better idea what it's going to cost today. And that number might change, but it's the placeholder we had for what the costs are now.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Philip? If not, Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basut?
Yes.
This is a point in our city council meeting where I ask if anybody would like to speak on any non-agenda items tonight. Okay. The next item would be Mayor, City Council, Reporter Communications. I would just like to thank Kim Hellige with Waffle County Trails for all the work that they have done over the years, because they've really orchestrated a wonderful trail system around our city. So kudos to Kim and all of her team, because they are absolutely dedicated to continuing to expand and improve our trail system. So thank you, Kim, very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and I just want to say thank you to Philip and to the city, because without the collaboration that we've had over the years, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's really been a very collaborative effort through the years, and Philip has been great to work with. So thank you.
And I guess the other thing I'd like to say, and I should have said it earlier, I really appreciate the Bridgeview Inc. Board of Directors, because they work very hard throughout the year to help raise additional money to help the city maintain this wonderful facility. And they really work extremely hard. They're very dedicated people that are very concerned about maintaining a high quality of this facility that is now owned by the city. And if it wasn't for their efforts, this expense would be totally borne by the city. And they give money to the city every year, $130,000 this year. So here again, I'd like to thank Jamie Scott and the board for their ongoing dedication and commitment to partnering with the city to keep Bridgeview alive and going well. So thank you very much. Does any of the council have any communications that they would like to make?
RAGBRAI needs volunteers. Go to Meet Ottumwa, to the RAGBRAI, meetattumwa.org, to the RAGBRAI tab, and sign up to volunteer. Because if we want it to be a great event for Ottumwa, volunteer, please.
The new site's up.
Oh, the new site's up.
OttumwaRagBRAI.com.
OttumwaRAGBRAI.com.
Is that July 25?
Yes.
The American Gothic Performing Arts Festival has their festival this month in June. This weekend, we have our first performance of To Kill a Mockingbird. So come on out, come to our performances. They're lots of fun. We bring lots of people into our community from all across the country. So it's a great opportunity to grow Ottumwa economically and also through the arts. So check out our website or our Facebook or Instagram to get those tickets and save the date.
Any other comments or announcements the council would like to make to the public? If not, I'd go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn our city council meeting.
Second.
Chris will take the roll.
Councilmember Galloway?
Yes.
Councilmember Hoffman?
Yes.
Councilmember McIntyre?
Yes.
Councilmember Cavanagh?
Yes.
Councilmember Basut?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight's city council meeting. Safe travels home.